Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do.
Just what to do, just what to do.
If what you're feeling is really true.
Is it really true? Is it really true?
Just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geri Petito Show. Guys, everyone and anyone who knows me knows I am the author of I'm Not an Addict, I'm Just an Ass. I'd rather be a smartass than a dumbass, guys, because 32 years ago, I was a dumbass. But today, 32 years later, I can honestly say now, through the grace of God, I'm a smartass. And yes, the word ass is in the Bible at least 40 times. It means donkey, and that's what I was. I'm saying all that to say this, guys. You know, we've all had the roughest few years of our lives, right? Not just here, all over the world. And unfortunately, a lot of people didn't make it. I had friends and family members that didn't make it, a lot through addiction. I'm a recovery coach, and I'm a nutritional health coach. I'm here to let you know someone is listening. All my services to you are free. Please, please, please reach out. And if you think my book can help someone, because I sure do, you can go to Simon & Schuster's bookstore, Archway Publishing. It's on Amazon, BAM, it's everywhere. Just Google the name. You could also go to www.geripetito.com website, and you can order it from there. Guys, one more thing. If you truly, truly, truly cannot afford my book, please, please reach out to me about that as well. Okay, and please subscribe to the Geri Petito Show YouTube channel. A lot of cool things are happening and a lot of incredible shows, especially tonight. So guys, you know I always bring it, right? Well, tonight I'm bringing it. And I need somebody to pinch me, please, because I can't believe this is happening tonight. Okay? I want to introduce this legendary, iconic guest I have here who honored me with this show tonight. Billy J. Kramer, say hello to everyone.
Hello, Geri. Very nice to be here, and thank you for saying such nice things.
Listen, you have brought so much joy to so many people over the years in the music industry with your music. And to me, you are a legend, okay? When I got the call about interviewing you, I could not believe it. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for honoring me here tonight.
It's a pleasure, Geri. It's a pleasure.
So, let's give a shout out, okay, to your manager. Tell everyone who your manager is.
My manager is Stephen Gardner. He lives on Long Island.
Yep. And he's been wonderful through this.
That's wonderful.
He's been wonderful through this.
He's a very hard-working guy and very supportive. And his wife Lisa's a wonderful person. He's not only a manager; they're very good friends of mine.
Yes.
They're part of my family.
Beautiful. And let's, of course, give a shout out to Gene DiNapoli.
Oh, Gene. Hi, Gene. Nice to see you. Hope you're looking in today. And a big hi for my partner here, Rose Stegeman. Say hello, Rose.
Hi, Rose. How are you, sweetheart?
Hello, Geri. Hi, nice
sweetie.
to see you.
So let's get this out of the way for right now. You're going to be doing a show soon. Gene's
Yes,
putting
I'm
on the
doing
show.
My show on the 7th, the 7th of May, the Landmark Theatre, Port Washington.
Yes.
And got some very interesting stuff. I'm going to be going to Abbey Road for the first time in 60 years to celebrate the anniversary of the song Do You Want to Know a Secret, which was my first record. And also I'll be celebrating my 80th birthday
Oh,
on
my
the
goodness.
19th of August. And I'll be recording at Abbey Road on the 20th and the 21st with some friends and guests of mine. And then I'll be coming up to Liverpool to do the museum with Rogue Vest. I hope to see Pete there. And then I'm doing the Brian Epstein Theatre on the 26th. So that's what I'm doing at the moment.
So this is amazing. You said your age. I didn't. Okay, 80 years old. Are you kidding me? You look incredible.
80? Thank you.
Amazing. Wow. Okay. So I want to ask you a few questions.
I couldn't hear you too well, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, sweetie. So I want to ask you a few questions, of course, but I want to go back in time because I want you to tell everyone how you got the name Billy J. Kramer.
What happened was I was with a group of friends, and it was just Billy Kramer. No, what happened was I used to play guitar, and that's all I ever wanted to do. And one day they turned around and said, "You're not progressing very quickly, Billy. So, either give the singing a shot or find another group." So I started doing the singing in the group, which I wasn't really keen on. I thought it would be a novelty and it would wear off. But I got my guitar stolen at the first gig.
Oh.
And I couldn't afford another. So the guys decided, you've got to have a name. And they called up this telephone operator and they said, there's 12 names. And she picked out Billy Kramer. I said, I don't mind what it is as long as it's Billy something. And it was just Billy Kramer. And then when Brian Epstein approached me about becoming professional, and I recorded the song, "Do You Want to Know a Secret?" One day he called me in the office, and when I got there, John Lennon was there. And he says, "John has a suggestion." And I said, "Well, what is it?" And he says, "Why don't you call yourself Billy J. Kramer? Because it'll give it more of a rock and roll edge, and it'll catch on with the public." And that's how that came about.
I love it. Listen, I love silly, information that your fans want to know. Okay, this stuff is so cool to us. And I thought that was so cool. So I want to ask you a question. Actually, I'm going to give the credit to Gene DiNapoli. He doesn't even know. I'm going to let you know. He sent me this question because he wants your fans to know the answer to this. And this is a great question, okay? So, all right, you ready?
Yeah.
What's the one Lennon-McCartney song you wish you could have recorded instead of the Beatles recording it?
I Want to Hold Your Hand.
Oh, I could imagine.
Well, I'll tell you for why. John Lennon came to me on my 20th birthday. We were on tour together in Bournemouth, and I was stood backstage with John, and he says, I've got a new song for you. And I said, "Are you going to play?" He says, "No, I'll come to Abbey Road." And the Beatlemania was becoming really big in England, and I was like, I wonder if he's going to show. But he turned up and on the day of the session, and he sat at the piano and he played Bed to me. And I thanked him dearly. And he says, "I want to play a song for you and give me your honest opinion." And it was, "I Want to Hold Your Hand." And I said, "Can I have that one?" And he said, "No, we're doing that one ourselves."
Oh, that's amazing. I could imagine. I would want to hold your hand too, Billy. Just saying. Just saying, baby. Just saying, okay? So, all right. I want to ask you one more question. We're going to talk a little bit about your book, and then we're going to play one of your songs, okay? So,
Right.
Your autobiography you published in 2016, correct?
Right.
Okay. So, I wrote my book and got it published in 2016. So
Yes.
that's why I was like, that's so cool for me, okay? Do you want to know a secret? Of course, the title's incredible. So talk a little bit about your book and show everyone your book.
And actually, it's on the front cover. There's me with the Beatles on the day of my 20th birthday. And, I wasn't really one for, can I put it down now?
You can put it down now. You can put it down now, yeah.
I'd written some notes, and then I was in California with Sylvester Stallone's brother, and he said, you ever thought of writing your autobiography? And I said, well, I wouldn't know how to start, really. And I don't know who I'd do it with. And he said, I could introduce you to Alan Shipton,
Okay.
Who wrote the Harry Nilsson book and got all sorts of awards. And he wrote Kid Calloway and a lot of jazz people, I emailed him not knowing whether he'd want to do it or not. And he came back to me and said that he'd like to do it, And he came to visit me in the United States, and we spent a lot of time together. And it's amazing the stuff that when you go back and things come up that you've forgotten all about, things like I was in bed one day and I suddenly remembered like the famous steam engine, the Flying Scotsman, that broke down there where I worked, and I went out with other guys and we repaired it. And then I remembered like going back to Hamburg and meeting up with Gene Vincent and becoming a close friend of his, things that, I'd forgotten. But anyway, I spent a lot of time with Alan. And then when I was over in England doing a tour, we came on the tour with me and we spent a long time together. And then we put it together. I tried to be as honest and, try to get across all, my experiences. I tried to not throw people under the bus because I thought, there's been enough of that done in the past. We could all go on about sex and drugs and rock and roll, but I talked about the fact that I had a problem with alcohol, and I packed it in, and I've been sober many years, and things like that that people didn't really know about me,
Amazing. So I can't wait to read it. Okay, I cannot wait to read it.
Well, I hope you enjoy it.
I'm going to love it. Are you kidding me? So I want to give 3 shout-outs. Okay, Stan Ziska, your good buddy, called me earlier, and he said he's going to be watching the show later on. He said to tell you he loves you, man, and you're amazing, and he hasn't talked to you in a while, but he loves you.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to know.
Okay. And then we have Ina Vasquez. She's watching now. She also has one of your albums, and she's hoping one day to meet you and get the album signed.
Well, she can come on to Port Washington. I'll sign it for her with pleasure.
There you go.
You
And I'm hoping to be there as well. And
that'd be wonderful.
yes, and John Terlizzi, okay, he is putting this everywhere. He already messaged me 10 times. So I just want to give the 3 of them shout-outs, okay? And everyone else listening, thank you. So we're going to play one of your songs, and then we're going to talk about it, okay?
Okay.
There we go. We're going to give everybody an incredible treat here. All right, producer, here we go.
I hear it.
Little children, you better not tell on me. I'm telling you, little children, you better not tell what you see. And if you're good, I'll give you candy and a quarter. If you're quiet, like you ought to be, and keep a secret with me. I wish they would go away, little children. Now why aren't you playing outside? I'm asking you, you can't fool me, 'cause I'm gonna know if you hide and try to peep. I'm gonna treat you to a movie me kissing your sister. You saw me holding her hand. But if you snitch to your mother, your father won't understand. I wish they would take a nap, little children. Now why don't you go bye-bye? Go anywhere, little children. I know you would go if you tried. Go up the stairs, me and your sister. We're going to say, how can I kiss her when I'm ready to? With little children like you around, I wonder what can I do around little children like you.
Okay, I'm giving you a standing ovation from my seat, baby, okay? Talk about that song, please.
Please. Well, Little Children was, I'm very honest about it. I'd done a show at the London Palladium, which I wasn't happy with. I was extremely nervous and didn't do a good job. I had a record out at the time, which was a Lennon McCartney song called I'll Keep You Satisfied. And it only got to number 3. A lot of people would think that was marvelous, but I was very upset about it at the time. And I was determined that I wanted to do a special record. And I went to a lot of publishers, and I got, believe it or not, I had like 600 acetates. And I went to a place called Rye in Sussex, and I stayed at a friend's cottage, and I was, quite honestly at the time, I was drinking a lot. I woke up one day and I put this demo on, and it was Maud Schumann playing piano very badly and singing not so good. But I thought that the song was a hit song. And, I'll be honest with you, I mean, it's a long, long story, but a lot of people were against me. Brian Epstein didn't think it was a hit. George Martin didn't. Dick James didn't. I hate to say it, but I turned down some John Lennon, Paul McCartney songs, which I didn't think were as good as what I had. And, they weren't hits anyway. Little Children I released, and it wasn't selling too well. And then I think at the time the record sales in England was like 68,000 in a day. And I did this thing for a TV show called Top of the Pops. And I was with these kids in a playground going down the slides and on the roundabouts. And it started to snow, and it was them beautiful big snowdrops. And then it was shown on TV, and the next day it sold 78,000. Oh my God. And went to number 1. In America, funny enough, they released Little Children and Bad to Me on the same record. In England, the B-side of Bad to Me was I Call Your Name. But in America, it was Little Children and Bad to Me, which held it up. They fought each other off, but it's still a record because it was the highest entry ever in the Billboard charts from nowhere to number 8. And it will never be beaten because they don't have that chart anymore.
Well, that's a good reason.
Yeah.
But that's amazing.
That was something I only found out myself recently, but that's where that was all about.
That was amazing, though. I mean, all right, so let me ask you this. And your fans are listening, so they want to know. What did that feel like to you?
What's it feel like?
Yes.
It's amazing because it's something that, as a kid, you never think's going to happen. You obviously would like it to happen. I remember, when my first record, I was on tour in Oxford in England, and Brian Epstein called me up in my hotel room and said, "You're going to be number 1 tomorrow in all the pop papers." And, I just lay on the bed and went, God, where do I go from here?
Oh, my goodness.
I was in shock. obviously it was a wonderful feeling, but it's and then the next one was number one, and it's like, God, it's you can put a lot of pressure on yourself, and you had to, I had to learn to live with the fact that, what you can do is you go in a recording studio and you do the best you can. And in my case, I've always tried to give 100% and more, and then you leave it up to the guy upstairs.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about the Dakotas, because you guys started in the 60s, correct?
Yes.
And then you guys broke up, but you reformed in the late 80s?
Funny enough, they reformed the Dakotas, and they asked me to come over to England, would I do a tour with them? And I got together with them. It was just a one-off tour, and that was it,
Okay. But that's pretty cool.
But
I said, but that's pretty cool, right?
It was very enjoyable. We did very well. But, I've always wanted to do different things and move on. And the same with them, they each of the members went on to do different things. And, that was it.
Okay. So, okay. I like to ask my musician guests the same question. And this is a really cool question for everyone out there listening. So, growing up, all right, this is like a three-part question. Growing up, I want to know who influenced you in music. I also want to know who you've met that you always wanted to meet, and maybe someone you haven't met that you wish you could have. So let's start with who influenced you.
Who influenced me? People like Little Richard, Chuck Berry, Fats Domino, the Everly Brothers, a lot of people, Roy Orbison, lots of people.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked Elvis, it's funny, I think Elvis in a way was very successful in that, but I don't think he was given the recognition he deserved as like a singer. Elvis was a great singer, and you hear people go, "Oh, Frank Sinatra was a great singer, and Tony Bennett was a great singer." Elvis was a great singer, and to me, Elvis, I always find that with everybody, they don't have it in every department. They either sing well and don't look so good, or they look great and don't sing so well. To me, Elvis was a great singer, a great looking man, a great performer. To me, he was the real deal. He had everything.
Well, I want to share a little Elvis trivia with you about me. I'm one of the biggest Elvis fans out there. And unfortunately, I was 16 when he passed away. My mom finally said I could go. I have the ticket framed in my Elvis poker room. I had an Elvis poker table made. All right?
Right.
So I never got to see him, but I've been honored all these years. I got a little interview. George Klein interviewed me at Graceland. I got to interview Marion Cock, his nurse, who's still with us. I love her. And I got to interview Priscilla Presley's son a few weeks ago, last month. So I've had, yeah.
I've been into that. Elvis is one, you said this is a three-part question.
Yes.
So I've talked about the people who I liked. The people I've worked with, I've worked with Roy Orbison. I worked with Gene Pitney.
No.
I worked with Tommy Rowe. I worked with the Everly Brothers. I worked with Del Shannon. I worked with Bobby V. I worked with all these people. Gene Pitney was a big friend of mine, and I was a huge fan. It's amazing to have idolize these people as a kid growing up, and then getting the opportunity to work with them. I'll be honest with you, when Buddy Holly came to Liverpool, usually people played the Empire Theatre, and it was impossible to get tickets. He played the Philharmonic, and I didn't get a ticket. I would have loved to have seen Buddy Holly.
So, who have you not met that you always wish you could have?
I met Roy Orbison.
That's amazing.
Pardon?
That's amazing.
I met Del Shannon and worked with him. Gene Pitney.
Who haven't you
So,
met? Who haven't you met that you always wish you could have?
I would love to have met Elvis.
Okay.
You know, I would have loved to have met people like Eddie Cochran. Unfortunately, he passed away. I was very fortunate that I was, John Lennon was, and I was a big fan of Gene Vincent's. I had the pleasure of working with him and becoming friends with him in Hamburg in the very early days, So I've had quite a full life, really.
Yes, amazing. All right. So I want to ask you something. Now, I want to ask you something that happened in 2005. Okay? You recorded the song Cow Planet for Dog Train,
Yes.
the children's album. Okay, tell us a little bit about that. This was actually for children?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about
I'll
that.
tell you what, I came home one day, and where I was living, there was a letter from this children's author, Sandra Boyden. I never knew anything about Sandra. I didn't know she was this enormously popular children's book writer. She sent me this song, and I said at the time, I got to do this because it's fun. And I went to Sony Studios in Manhattan. I met up with Sandra, who was a beautiful woman, and I recorded the song Cow Planet. Sandra, she hired people like Meryl Streep, David Cassidy, the Monkees, Jerry and the Pacemakers, all sorts of people, and she flew all over the place. And I met her in New York, and I did Cow Planet. And then sometime later, she got a hold of me, and she said, we did some edits on Cow Planet, and I like the way you spoke. I didn't think I spoke particularly well. And she said, I'm turning some of my books into children's apps. Would you like to come and narrate them? So I narrated 6 of her books. And the most popular one was called The Going to Bed Book. And funny enough, what we did a thing at Barnes and Noble in Manhattan where she had the book blown up big, and the audience were all in pajamas, and I walked on the stage in pajamas, and I narrated the book Cow Planet. And anyway, it was on sale on the internet and Amazon and everything, and it was a wonderful experience, and I love Sandra. I haven't seen her in a while. I'm really looking forward to meeting her with her, I hope, in London soon.
So, can you sing a couple notes of it? Cow Planet?
Cow, how are you going to get there? How are you going to get there? Cow Planet, Cow Planet.
That's so cute. Oh my gosh. All right, so listen. Now I'm going to put you on the spot here. All kidding aside, I would love if you could honor me just 30 seconds, a minute of singing for me a cappella. Do you want to know a secret for everyone listening, please?
Listen, do you want to know a secret? Do you promise not to tell? Whoa, whoa, closer. Just let me whisper in your ear. Say the words you love to hear. I'm in love with you. Ooh.
Guys, you heard it right here on the Geri Petito Show. Billy J. Kramer. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow.
Thank you very much.
Wow. Okay, so you sang to me, right? All right, and the fans, but you sang to me, right? Oh my gosh. Amazing.
Yeah.
He sang to all of us, guys, okay? All right, so now I want to ask you something. I love things that go on in entertainers' lives, like, from back in the day till now. I love knowing all these facts. So I want to ask you something. In 2012, you went back into the studio for the first time in years to record a new CD, I Won the Fight, and that was released in 2013. So
Yes.
this features songs written by you as well as some covers. Tell us about that. You went back for the first time in a few years. Tell us about that.
It's so funny because at the time, I was spending a lot of time in New Mexico.
Okay.
You know, I really was in love with Santa Fe. I used to go and spend a lot of time there. I felt that, you know, it is the land of enchantment and very inspirational. And I came up and I wrote this. I was in Santa Fe and I went back to New York and I said, I went out and I bought a guitar. I had a guitar the whole time and never played it. But I thought, I'm going to start again. I hadn't been in a musical store in 20 years. And I went into a store on Long Island. I bought a guitar and I went home and I wrote this song, Sunsets of Santa Fe, which was just said to me one day, you know, you're in and out of this place so quickly, you never see the sunsets of Santa Fe. And I went, oh, that's a good title for a song. And I sat at home and I wrote Sunsets of Santa Fe, and it was a Sunday night, and I thought, I want to write a song for Brian Epstein because I felt that he'd been given a cold shoulder by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I thought Brian brought so much to the world, you know, his persistence in getting the Beatles known throughout the world, which gave the world so much pleasure, so much enjoyment. And I felt like everybody had forgotten about this guy. And I sat at home and came up with this song, Liverpool with Love, which is like, it said a lot about Liverpool, and it was like a retrospective. And I mentioned, something always bothered me, no one will explain, because I used to ask everybody, at the Hall of Fame and everything, why isn't Brian Epstein in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? And I put this in the song, and I did it a lot in all the Beatle fests and festivals, and the fans really got behind it. And a year later, Brian got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Amazing. That was a beautiful story. You honored him.
Yeah.
That was
Yes.
beautiful. So now let's play another one of your songs for everyone listening. Okay, and then we'll talk about it.
Right.
If you ever leave me, I'll be sad and blue. Don't you ever leave me, I'm so in love with you. The birds in the sky would be sad and lonely if they knew that I lost my one and only. They'd be sad if you're bad to me. The leaves on the trees would be softly sighing if they heard from the breeze that you left me crying. They'd be sad. Don't be bad to me. But I know you won't leave me, 'cause you told me so. And I've no intention of letting you go, just as long as you let me know you won't be bad to me. So the birds in the sky won't be sad and lonely, 'cause they know that I've got my one and only. They'll be glad you're not bad to me. You told me so, and I've no intention of letting you go, just as long as you let me know you won't be bad to me. So the birds in the sky won't be sad and lonely, 'cause they know that I've got my one and only. They'll be glad you're not bad to me. They'll be glad you're not bad to me. To me. To me.
Amazing, amazing, amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing. Tell us
Thank
about
you.
this song. Talk to us.
Pardon?
Talk to us about this song.
Well, as I say, John Lennon played me this song at Abbey Road, And, I was produced by George Martin, who produced the Beatles. He produced all my records too. And, people don't realize that back then, I'd never heard the song before. We had to work out an arrangement. And I think the recording time, we recorded that and the B-side in 3 hours. 2 songs we'd never heard before, And funny enough, that to me wasn't working out very well in the beginning, because I had a bit of a discrepancy with George about what key to do the song in. He wanted me to do it in E, I wanted to do it in D, and it wasn't working. And then we took a short break for, a drink, and I said to him, why don't we go to the B side, the back side? And I did, I Call Your Name. And that was, believe it or not, that was 1.5 years before the Beatles did it themselves. And I said, well, let's put that out as the A side and get a B side for Bed to Me, and we'll go back to it. And he said, no, it sounds too much like the Beatles. Oh. And I said, well, that's not a bad thing, George. And he said, no, you're Billy J. Kramer. Anyway, we went back and we changed the key, and Bed to Me came together, fortunately. And the rest is history. It was a big hit,
So you were right about changing the key from the beginning.
Well, you're not right all the time, and I don't want to be like that. I just thought it was a nice song, and I thought it was a bit too pushed in the key of E,
Okay.
And I wanted to get some nice inflections into it.
Beautiful.
That was me. I'm not a taught singer. It was just I just always just done things how I felt,
But that's the right way to be. In anything we do, right? I mean, we have to feel what we're doing. It has to mean something to us, right?
Yes, and and I think you otherwise I think you can be chasing your tail.
That's right. I love that. First of all, I love your accent, and so yes, guys, don't chase your tail. Okay, do not do that. Okay, that's great. So let's give another shout out to your show. So everybody, on May 7th, the Landmark Theater in Port Washington, New York, okay?
Yes.
Billy J. Kramer, ambassador to the British invasion, will be there. So come on out, guys, okay? All right,
I'm
sponsored
looking
by
forward
Jeans
to
and
it very
Napoli.
much.
Yes.
I have a lot of friends there. I hope they're all going to come along, and we're going to have a great time. And, I'd like to say, Jerry, thank you so much. People don't know about it. We had quite a heck of a time getting this together with, and I'd just like to thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, I'm going to be with a band, Joe Orlando and B, the Criers, and I'm going to be using Jeff from the Newbies, some great friends of mine. It's going to be a great night.
It's going to be amazing, but I want to thank you for the patience as well. So
thank you very much.
So I have another question for you before we play the next song.
Right.
Okay. We'll have a couple more questions before we play the next song. Okay. So here's what I want to ask you. So tell us what happened in 2013. You provided the introduction to the graphic novel, The Fifth Beatle.
Yes.
Okay, tell us about that. I love this stuff.
Funny enough, it was written by Vivek Tiwari.
Yep.
And believe it or not, I had a meeting with Vivek with some friends of mine who were trying to put together an idea for a musical. The musical, funny enough, was about a great soccer star in the 60s, George Best.
Okay.
And, we met up with Vivek to discuss this. And, it was the first time I met him, and we became friends. After the meeting, we got together quite a few times, and he was, Vivek really has based his career on, being like Brian Epstein, being really legit and straightforward and honest. And I liked Vivek very much. And then he just asked me would I like to do it, and I said, I'll do it with pleasure, and I wrote the liner note, and I was very thrilled that the book became #1 in the graphic novels section of the Times, and then I was a part of it. You know.
That's amazing. So let's go back in time a little bit more. What was it like? All right, so I always say this when I interview, singers that sang in, 50s, 60s, all that. I always say I was born too late because I was born in 61, but everything came out in 61. And here I'm a huge fan,
Right.
So I am an Elvis oldies doo-wop girl. I mean, I loved the rock and roll, of course, Led Zeppelin, all that, Genesis, of course. You can't take that out of me, but I am an oldies girl. So, did you ever sing on street corners?
The only time I did that, to tell you the truth, was, I started off before all that. There was a big era in Liverpool, in England, called the skiffle era.
Okay.
A guy called Lonnie Donegan had a big hit with a song called Rock Island Line. And he dug up, there were American traditional songs that rehashed, and they became very, very popular. And, what happened was, Britain wasn't known for guitars, but suddenly 25,000 guitars, acoustic guitars, sold in England. And kids, it wasn't long after World War II, kids were putting together what they called skiffle groups, which was like a tea chest with a broom handle and a string for a bass, a washboard with cymbals, and acoustic guitars. And it was a cheap way of having a band on a corner. And I did that for a bit,
That is so cool. So, what could you say was the most significant difference between performing in the UK and performing in the US?
Well, I just think it was strange to sort of do shows in England. I did outside things, to like 10,000 people and stuff like that. But, theaters were like 2,000, 3,000, but coming to America and driving into an arena in a coach and getting up out of a coach into this enormous auditorium or stadium was a bit mind-blowing, that was mind-blowing. Also, the fact that, doing Ed Sullivan's show was like, when you think about it, I try not to think about it, but I never realized that there's like 70 million people looking at you. If you think about that, it's enough to make you run away,
But you didn't run away. That's the best part.
Yeah, and the thing is, well, believe it or not, when I did that Sullivan show, I never had a clue what it looked like because back then there was no VCRs.
Oh.
I never saw it till a long time afterwards.
I never thought about that.
I never saw it for quite a while afterwards, no.
Okay, well, that's something I never thought of. All right, well, thanks for sharing that.
I came to America, I did it at Sullivan, and then I came back and I got with some people and they went, oh, by the way, we've got a VCR, and played me it,
That is so cool. We wouldn't think of that. I wouldn't think of that. That's something interesting. So now let me ask you something. Growing up, okay, young, when did you know you wanted to sing?
I always sang. I remember I used to get told off by the teachers at school for just singing. I'd be in the geography class and I'd start singing and stuff like that. And then I'll be honest with you, what happened was I had this choir master called Mr. Burke, and one day he started playing this tune and everybody was singing. He went, keep on singing, keep on singing. And he ran around the classroom and he said, I'll take you. And he picked on me. And then obviously I went to choir lessons and he wanted me to sing solo. And I was very, very shy, very intimidated very easily. And I never wanted to sing solo. I mean, like I said to you earlier, where to me, if it wouldn't have been for the the fact that the guys in my band said, you know, if you don't sing, you better find another
Oh
band.
my gosh.
You know, I thought it would be a novelty and it would wear off. I was quite content to strum a guitar behind other people.
But you also, as far as a career, a job, you started out doing something else, right?
I was an engineer.
Yes.
I was a trainee engineer for British Railways. A lot of people think an engineer in America is someone who drives a train. I didn't drive trains. I took them to pieces and put them back together, fixed them.
Oh, okay.
You know, and I worked on Rolls-Royce engines and stuff like that. And I went to school, and that's what I did as a day job. In the evening, I did, you know, the Cavern and the Iron Door and all the hops around Liverpool.
So, were any of your family members musicians or singers?
No, not at all. You know, I knew my father was. I found out in recent times that my father played trombone, he played drums, he played fiddle, and I remember one Christmas, you know, in Liverpool, he hired this piano and they put this piano in the house, and he sat there playing all the latest songs by ear. He didn't read very well, you know, but he obviously had an ear for music.
Okay, cool. A lot of musicians always say, you know, one of their parents or a family member was an influence, but not in your case.
You know, I mean, there was always music going on. I mean,
Yes.
when I was a kid growing up, it was like the big band stuff, you know, Benny Goodman and
Yeah.
Glenn Miller and people like that. I used to hear all that kind of stuff on the radio, and I used to like hear a lot of country music like Hank Williams and Webb Pierce and Arnold Guthrie and Earl and Husky and people like that, you know.
So, I'm going to ask you a question that might be hard to answer. Okay? And actually, you don't have to say one. You could say a few different songs. Did you have a few favorite songs growing up?
It was, I'll be honest with you, I was very into what was going on in the charts.
Okay.
You know, I'll be honest with you, it's like today people, they go like a tribute to the Beatles, and the whole show is Beatles songs, a tribute to Led Zeppelin. It's all,
Right.
well, when I was growing up, you know, my tribute was to all the people that I liked. In the sets I was doing around Liverpool, I'd be doing Rick Nelson songs, Roy Orbison songs, Jerry Lee Lewis songs, Fats Domino songs. It was a whole new bag, you know. And then I'd do songs like, you know, there was like that old song, I was dancing with my baby through the Tennessee waltz. I'd be singing stuff like that, you know. I'd make my own versions of a song, you know. And I'd rock up some Hank Williams songs. I'd turn them into like, you know, Honky Tonk Angels. I'd do as a 12-bar blues and things like that, you know.
So, growing up and in school and singing in the hallways and to the teachers and all that, did it help with the girls?
You know, believe it or not, not really.
Why? What? They're crazy then.
I was a shy. I was overweight as a kid. You know, I had a weight issue. I was very self-conscious, and you know, it's like I remember sort of going to Manchester, and I did this TV show called Sin at 6:30. I mimed to "Do You Want to Know a Secret?" and I was throwing secret files all over the studio, filing cabinets, you know, because at the time there was a big political scandal going on in England, the Profumo trials. And then I go back to Liverpool and I get off the bus at the end of the street and there's 1,000 kids outside the house, you know, and it was like, wow. And it's, I always said to myself, how come I became good looking overnight?
You're still gorgeous.
Thank you very much.
Wow. All right, so I think what we'll do is now we'll play, is this our third song, Ruben? We'll play our third song and then we'll talk about this one.
Right.
Here we go.
The place that I grew up in was hidden from my view. It took full lads and rock and roll to make the world come new. I had me to the top. Screaming fans, I had it all. Home to Liverpool with love. Things were going so fast, that trouble needed me fame. But if you were to ask me to, I'd do it all again. Ferry across the Mersey, like a bird's high in the sky. Football noise and teddy boys, no wonder our parents cried. Home to Liverpool with love. I have lots of stories. Friends died before their time. I rode the rock and roll roller coaster and was lucky to survive the ride. Home to Liverpool with love. Things were going so fast, that trouble needed with fame. But if you were to ask me to, I'd do it all again. Something used to bother me, no one could explain. But finally Brian Epstein is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Home to Liverpool with love. 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 Liverpool with love. Home to Liverpool with love.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because I recorded that song on Long Island and the whole CD I won the fight, you know. I was very lucky I got associated with a great musician, Don Solenza, and we did Liverpool with Love and Sunset to Santa Fe. It was just an accident how we met up. And we just continued, and we put the whole CD together. I won the fight. So, you know, that was a very enjoyable experience for me. I loved working with him. It was great.
So this song touched my heart. I could imagine how it touched yours.
Well, you know, it's very hard to talk about something that you've written yourself, you know.
Yep.
You know, it really is. You know, to me, I just did the best I could, you know.
Yes. So we still have plenty of time. We're coming to the close of the show in a little while, but we have plenty of time. I don't want you to forget to say anything there was that you wanted to talk about. I want you to take the mic. It's yours. Okay? I don't want you to forget anything, Billy.
There's not a lot I have forgotten, you know. I mean, I just feel very honored that, you know, I've done what I've done. I'm very lucky that, you know, I've never thought of this as being a job. It's something that I enjoy doing. It's something that gives me a lot of personal pleasure. It's something that I love to do. You know, I'm still a very unassuming person, but I like entertaining. You know, when people say to me, like you said, you've given so much pleasure, that means so much to me. It means more than all the hit records and the adulation. You know, when people say to me, you're a legend, you're an icon, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yep, you are.
I'm just a regular guy who's had a good life and a lot of fun. Obviously in life you have your ups and downs, and you have to dust yourself up and get up there and do it again. And show business isn't the greatest business in the world. But I try to, to me, I try to not look at it as a business. It's just, it's just something that I do. I'm really, I'm amazed that now after 60 years to still be doing what I'm doing, to be going to Abbey Road after 60 years, to meet up with a lot of friends and people, honored to do this for me and record there for me and meet up with a lot of old friends and get together, and it's a wonderful feeling. Sometimes you think, is it all been worth it? But it's when you think of things like this, it has, Well, and as I say, I've just been. I've been honoured, but also I always say to people, I've also been lucky. I've been blessed with good health, and as I say, it's not always been a bowl of cherries, but I've had a good life, and I hope people have enjoyed what I put forward to them, and I hope to continue to do it for a long time to come. And God willing, I will.
So I want to share something with you. So when I got the call about interviewing you, of course I was on cloud nine. I said, is this really happening? And God's blessed me. I've done some incredible, Mel Carter, some incredible interviews, right? But there was something different when I got the call about you. Because growing up, we all sang your songs. And I think what touched me the most was because you weren't from the U.S., and I was and I'm like, but the British invasion, are you kidding me? I was just so moved that I was able to get this interview. And I want to share something, and I've shared this on a lot of shows, through these past few years, all this craziness that has gone on, we all know and thanked all our essential workers, right? But a few people were put on the back burner. Sanitation workers, they're right up there, right? But singers, musicians, what you guys have done for us through these past few years, you've saved lives, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, because when I would do my lives of singing, going to shows and all through it, I would get calls from people that were in the hospital and messages saying, Geri, thank you. They had their nurse hold their phones up so they could listen to the music. When I put the ad out for you, I cannot tell you how many people messaged me. They're like, are you kidding me? Billy J. Kramer? What? They were going crazy. So you've touched so many people, Billy, and I know you know it to a point, but you got to really know it. Okay, so I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and it's the truth. Billy J. Kramer, So
I'm very moved and I'm very touched. Thank you so much.
oh my gosh, what you've done. I want to
Feel good.
take a moment, and I want to read a poem out of my book, if it's okay with you.
Sure.
Because you said something, the coattails, say that again, what?
Don't chase your tail.
Okay,
Stop
don't
chasing
chase your
your tail.
coattails. This poem is called Utilizing Gifts and Talents, because everyone has them. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't even realize they're talented as well. So I wrote this poem for everyone out there to understand that you guys have to find out what your talents are and start utilizing them, because you're all given them. So this is for everyone out there listening who maybe feels second best, all right, because you're not. We are born with talents, we are born with drive, with different gifts to help us thrive. I knew early on I was born to draw and paint, to also write poetry and to talk without restraint. Our gifts and talents should all be used. God's gift to us, not be abused. We can go far in life for sure, using our gifts to go on tour, like you have. All our talents should be used to create ourselves and more, but then our job's to share them, to even up the score. You see, in life, what's needed is not just for ourselves. Once our gifts are mastered, take them off the shelves. A living we can make by spreading them around, not just for the money, but to spread a peaceful sound. Don't take for granted the gifts you're given. Go out and spread the joy. Our gifts are not to be held back for us to self-destroy. Put your efforts forth. Do not hesitate, because all your talents, my friend, are never second-rate. Never hold them back, or you will surely die. Maybe not in body, but your soul will cry. By putting efforts forth, not keeping them at bay, Billy J. Kramer, your name will live forever, baby, forever and a day. So go through life excited for what you sure can give. To yourself and others is our reason to live. Our grave will be quite lonely, but our legacy lives on. Make sure people smile with the breaking dawn. And that's what you've done. And thank you, sweetheart.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's very, very cool. Love it.
I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Again, if there's anything else you want to say, the mic is yours. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for honoring me and all my friends, my listeners, and your fans with this incredible, beautiful interview. Is there anything else you would like to
Much,
say?
you know, I've just about, I've said just about everything I'd like to say, you know. I just hope to see everybody soon, Long Island, and
May 7th.
thank you so much.
Yes. May 7th, guys, Landmark Theater, Port Washington, New York. Okay, Gene DiNapoli's presenting the show right here, this legend, Billy J. Kramer, the ambassador to the British invasion. Billy, thank you.
See you there if you can make
I'm
it.
working on this, baby. I love you. Thank
I
you.
love you too.
Thank you. Ruben, take us out. Put your book up.
Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do.
Just what to do, just what to do.
If what you're feeling is really true.
Is it really true? Is it really true?
Just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.